Today in the nerdy news you need to know about, Ubisoft is apologizing to its Japanese audience. Xbox is reportedly exploring more Game Pass tiers. Helldivers 2 is getting its biggest update yet. And Blessing Adeoye Jr. is back, ladies and gentlemen, and mates. We'll have all this and more because this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30, a.k.a. New York Game Awards nominated, a.k.a. Evo returning, Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Good day, Greg.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm tired.
Yeah, I bet.
It's been a very long, week and a day that I've been gone.
Yeah.
But I feel rejuvenated. I feel energized. I had a very fun time at Evo.
Walk me through all of it, because you go to New York City. That's not where Evo is.
Oh, yeah. I went to New York City just because it's funny, at the top of the year, you mentioned the New York Game Awards nominated, right? I was supposed to go to New York for that. And I was very excited to go because I had never really been in New York before. Like, I had been in New York for only like a couple hours on my way to Jersey.
That doesn't count.
No, like, I wanted to actually spend time in New York. And so when I didn't get to go back in January, I knew my birthday was coming up, and I had some friends that were like, yo, if you want to go to New York, we can make this happen. Like, we can take a full trip. And so did the trip to New York and then timed it so that it was back to back with Evo, so I could just take a full week off of work and like treat it as a vacation. And so did New York, had a fantastic time. I think pizza. Oh, I ate so much. I did a pizza tour. Yeah. Like, you hire a guy and he'll take you around to like multiple.
Wait,
pizza
what?
spots.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
No, it was fucking great.
How many pizza spots do you go to?
Went to 4. It was supposed to be 3, but like one of the spots he took us to was Joe's Pizza, and we informed him that actually we went to Joe's Pizza the first night that we were there. So he was like, okay, we're gonna call an audible. But there was one other. It was funny. It was me and my 2 friends, Sarah and Lexi, and then there was one other guy who's just there, who also signed up for the pizza tour. And so it was my 3 friends and one dude who's like in his 40s, and he wanted the Joe's Pizza. So like we stopped there, he ate there, but went to John's Pizza, which is like one of the few coal.
John's at Bleecker Street.
Yeah.
Great pizza.
That place is great. It has one of the few coal ovens in New York. Went to
now, let me stop you here.
Go for it.
Because I love this idea, and I think this is fucking amazing. Were you getting like special access? Like, were you like, or was it just like, did you have like reserved seating, or was it just like this guy takes you around?
I think this guy.
Could you have accomplished this just by saying, "Hey, Brian, what are 3 pizza places I go to?" And Altano would have said X, Y, and Z. I
think he had like reservations. It wasn't like special seating or any special treatment, but he must have deals with these pizza spots that, hey, we're gonna come through and we're gonna like do the, because it was very like, by the time we got to Joe's, the pizza was already, it was not like we paid or anything. I think he already had that organized of, we're gonna hit these spots and these people know me, and so they're okay with like, him bringing us back to the, I guess he did take us back to the kitchen. And like we got to like look inside the coal ovens and do all these cool things. Cool. Went to Joe's, went to John's, went to
Sabaro.
I saw the
photo. You did a photo.
I almost
of it,
went in because I had
a
bit with Roger about going to Sbarro when I was in New York. Went to Song in Napoli, which is like a Napoleon spot. That was really good. Sure. And then went to Neapolitan. Yeah. What did I say?
Napoleon.
Yeah, no, Neapolitan.
The doors are all very low. He was a very short man.
And then went to Ben's Pizza, which is like more not Detroit style, but it is like a thicker crust with like a thick layer of sauce on top of it. It was fantastic. And he would like teach us the history of all these places. Awesome. That was a really fun time. And then went to shows, went to 2 comedy shows. Mark Norman showed up at one of them, which is like what I wanted. I wanted like a famous comedian to like actually show up. So that happened. Went to Book of Mormon. That was really good.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. And so I had a really good time, visited Brooklyn, hung out with a few people, hung out with Sal Romano of Gamatsu.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because he lives in Brooklyn. And so,
how did that happen?
Well, he heard I was going to New York. And so I hit him up and I was like, yo, like, or he hit me up and was like, yo, if you're going to New York, let me know. Yeah. We can hang out. And so, yeah, we just met up. He showed us around Brooklyn a little bit. That was very fun. Took a lot of subways.
Yeah.
That was really dope. New York subway, very convenient.
Yeah.
Wasn't as smelly as I thought it was going to be.
Sure.
Based on what I've heard.
Sure.
Yeah, New York didn't smell that bad. Yeah. It was very hot, though. There was a heat wave going on.
A lot of trash in the streets, too.
A lot of trash in the streets. Bagels, best I ever had in my life.
Nice.
Yeah. Fantastic city. It was probably one of my favorite cities I've visited in the U.S.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then I went straight to Vegas.
How did Vegas compare? Did you go do a pizza tour there?
No, I mean, Vegas I've already been to, 3 times, 4 times already. So like I wasn't there to do any like touristy shit, even though I did go to the Caesar Palace buffet, which was always fantastic. But I went to Evo, and it was my first time at Evo, which is like the biggest fighting game tournament in the world. And that was a fantastic time. Probably maybe my favorite video game like convention style event that I've been to, just for like the energy that the fighting game community brings to it. Like everybody's hype, everybody's excited to be there. It's really cool walking into the show floor and like, oh, right now Kevin has pulled up the pools that I played in because I signed up for Tekken.
Wearing your dope Roosevelt shirt.
Thank you. But yeah, right here, like what you're looking at, this is like the tournament area. So you have a bunch of stations set up, and throughout the like half the show floor, people are playing Street Fighter, people are playing Tekken, people are playing Under Night In-Birth, all these different fighting games. And then on the other half, it looks kind of like a PAX, right? Where there's all these booths set up. They had like 2XKO available to play, which I played and it was really cool. They had the Hunter x Hunter fighting game. They had casual areas. They had a big arcade set up too. But that was really fantastic. And then that was most of my day 1 and day 2 was spent in this area. But day 3,
Did you win?
Well, I won a match. So
there you go.
The way
Beautiful.
it's set up, the one that Kevin's showing here, this is the one of the matches I lost, but I included this video because I did get a perfect here. I think it's around like maybe the 2-minute mark. I don't know if Kevin has the ability to fast forward at all, but basically it is, you have to lose 2 in your pools to get knocked out.
Okay.
And it is the best of 3 matches. And so like to break it down, right? Fighting games, Tekken specifically, there's like, it's best of 7 rounds or best of 6 rounds or whatever. It's first to 3 wins, and then that's a match, and then it is first to 2 match wins, then moves on to the next round of the pool. So against this guy, this is the first one I played. I lost both against him, but it came really close. Like as the video progresses, I think this might be one of the ones where I got to like down to the last round where I lost. But then when I was playing the second guy, that is where I won one of the games.
Okay.
And this is really fun. I felt salty afterwards because both these guys, I think I could have beaten.
Okay.
In fact, I mean, this guy I beat in the first game, right? But I didn't expect to feel nervous. And that is the thing that got me, where I'm like clicking buttons that I never clicked before. I'm like, why would I do this?
Yeah,
like,
you're not sticking to the game plan.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like I am losing all these things that I built up over time playing Tekken just because like I'm like, oh, I'm at Evo. I gotta lock in, and you start to feel a bit of nerves there.
So I know the most casual bit about Evo. Fighting games, of course, big tournament. It always ends on stage, people freaking out. Could you have, from this pool, gone and been on the big stage?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the thing is, there's 3 days of tournament, right? And so for most games, for the big games, for Tekken, it is day 1. It's like probably like what 5, 6. It's a bunch of rounds of pools. There are a bunch of pools set up. If you make it out of the pool, you then make it to the next day of Tekken, right?
Okay.
And so like in each pool, there's probably 8 people, 6 to 8 people that are included, maybe 10. I don't know the exact number. But one person is making it out of all those. They go on to the next round, and then they're whittling down people until you get down to the top 6, and then that is what appears on the big Evo stage. Gotcha. During all of this, they do have like bigger stages set up around for notable matches that like in the middle of a pool, they'll like pick people out and be like, hey, you're going on to the big stage. You're going to fight on stream in front of everybody. Yeah. And that happened for like a couple of my friends. But yeah, very, very fun time. The grand finals on Sunday were fantastic. It's always like a fun story because for Tekken, the best Tekken player in the world right now is this dude named Arslan Ash. He's been on a tear since 2019, winning everything, and like came out of nowhere, right? Like it's really cool how fighting games can be very like community and like territory driven of, oh, okay, we expect maybe the best Tekken players to be from the US or Japan or whatever. This dude came out of Pakistan out of nowhere, and people were like, oh, we didn't even know there was a community in Pakistan. Came in 2019, dominated, and has been the Tekken champion ever since. Been like, destroying people in Tekken, and he's still like this year again became the Tekken champion again. Sonic Fox, who a lot of people knows, like they came through in Mortal Kombat, put on a show. They're fun to watch. And then Street Fighter, this guy named Punk, who's been like on the verge of winning forever, but hasn't actually gotten an Evo, finally got his first Evo, and it was just like a really cool story to follow. And so if you're somebody who's not watched Evo, if you're a listener or watcher, definitely like find time to tune in. It is, even if you're just tuning in for like the grand finals, the commentators do such a good job of building the stories and cluing you into what's going on, and it's a really cool time.
Now I see you have the PlayStation Elite box there in front of you. Did you walk around with your own controller?
I did walk around my own controller.
Nice. Do you have to do that?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, most people are walking around with fight sticks,
Of
and
course.
so they'll bust that out.
You sent an amazing photo of one Kind of Funny best friend you ran into that had our Kind of Funny logo on the fight stick. Amazing.
Which is really awesome. And yeah, I ran into like a lot of people that listen to the content, watch the content. So shout out to all the Kind of Funny best friends that pulled me aside. I did have a swollen eye for most of the week. That's the other thing that I left out. I got into a fight.
Yeah.
I had a really bad sty. And that was the one thing that kind of ruined my weekend is like by the last day, I was like, I hope nobody wants to take a photo with me because I look crazy right now.
You start rocking sunglasses indoors.
Yeah, honestly, if I didn't have prescriptions, I would have found sunglasses and be like, yo, But that kind of put a damper on the week.
Of course, yeah.
There was like Elmo. Thanks, Kevin, for bringing this up. The Kind of Funny Best Friends fight stick that has the Kind of Funny spelling on it. There was an Elmo tweet from this morning that was like, man, Elmo needs a vacation after this vacation. And that's kind of what I feel like, where I'm like, it started literally on my flight on the way to New York where my eyes started hurting. I was like, oh no. And then by my last day in Vegas, I couldn't even stay through the Street Fighter thing. I had to go back to the hotel and like rest up and like apply like
compress
on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fantastic time. I want to go to EVO again. I want to go every year, honestly. And I want to get better. And I want to go to locals, like fighting game local tournaments.
Yeah, there used to be a scene here pre-COVID. I don't know what it's like now. I mean, I know there's a scene, but I mean, there used to be like these two do this on Tuesday and this on Thursday.
Yeah. I talked to a lot of people down at EVO that were like, oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in San Jose. And so I'm gonna seek those things out and see if I can go. And yeah, like I'm back into it. I'm like locked back into it.
I love that for you, Blessing. I'm excited to hear more about it. I'm sure as the weeks progress, we have many questions, including one from CJ about you playing Astrobot. But we'll save that for the end of the show because this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about live on YouTube, Twitch, and podcast services around the globe. If you want to be part of the show live as we go, it's super simple. Go to youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Use your super chats, just like JD did and CJ did, to be part of the show. Of course, we need you to talk during the actual stories as well, with your questions, comments, and concerns about the day's news. If you like what we do here, remember, Kind of Funny is an 11-person independent operation, and we need your support. Pick up the Kind of Funny membership over on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or patreon.com/kindoffunny. Of course, with the membership, you get good karma for taking care of a small independent business, but you also get all of our shows ad-free, the ability to watch us record the podcast in the afternoon live as we record them, and of course, your daily dose of Gregway. We are a network all about live talk shows. Today, after Kind of Funny Games Daily, you're getting the GAMESCAST, where it's your hot takes refuted. We gave you, of course, the Kind of Funny GAMESCAST hotline number to leave your 60-second voicemails. So many of you did. So many of you have awful takes about video games, and so we'll take those down right after this live on YouTube and Twitch, podcast services later. And then, of course, the stream is going to be Path of the Goddess. If you're a Kind of Funny member, you'll be getting a Gregway this afternoon. What's it about? I haven't decided yet. It's not too late. You can write in on the Patreon app, on the YouTube videos. You can put it in the super chats here, and I'll think about it, okay? Don't worry about it. Triforce Power says, Greg, can I redo my voicemail for the GAMESCAST? No. The GAMESCAST is live in like 45 minutes. No, it's too late to do anything. Get fucked. Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? They think because they super chat and support us and send in a voicemail, they're good fans. They can do whatever they want. Get out of here. Of course, we have lots of good fans and good super chatters. They're like our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs and Delaney Twining. Today, we're brought to you by NVIDIA and our Portillo merch line. But we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 6 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen!
Number 1. Assassin's Creed Shadows team issues an apology to Japanese fans. This is Matt Purslow over at IGN. So here's the thing. We'll get to the story.
Yeah.
It wasn't yesterday, because I wasn't on the show yesterday. But maybe, I guess Friday, I was having a Games Daily where as soon as I started talking, I was like, oh, this is going to be perfect. And I just nailed the show, just crushed it.
Yeah.
And now it's that opposite thing where I've had like 2 hitches. I'm like, it's going to be one of those shows.
You seem like Pete Greg Miller in it.
It's because you're exhausted and you're not paying attention.
That too.
The Ubisoft development team working on Assassin's Creed Shadows has posted a public message to Japanese fans on Twitter, which explains the project's stance on historical authenticity and also apologizes for promotional materials that, quote, have caused concern, end quote, among the community. The 4-page message, posted in both English and Japanese, explains that Assassin's Creed Shadows is not intended to be a factual representation of history. Instead, it is described as a quote, a compelling historical fiction set in feudal Japan, end quote. And the developers hope it will spark curiosity in players who will then hopefully research the historical period the game is inspired by. Ubisoft emphasizes that Shadows has been made in collaboration with external consultants and historians, but recognizes that it has made a mistake. Quote, despite these sustained efforts, we acknowledge that some elements in our promotional materials have caused concerns within the Japanese community. For this, we sincerely apologize. End quote. While the post offers a very limited details about what Ubisoft is apologizing for, it's likely due to the quote promotional materials end quote in question is a piece of concept art that features the flag of a Japanese historical reenactment group. The flag, which is a modern day creation and not historical, was used without permission from the Sekigahara Teppotai group.
Nailed it.
Crushed it. While Ubisoft has since apologized for using the flag's design, it will still be printed in the physical art book featured in the collector's edition of Assassin's Creed Shadows. The new message from the team notes that the game, quote, will keep evolving until launch. Based on the constructive criticism we have received, we will continue our efforts until we put this game into your hands and beyond, it explains. Beyond.
Yeah.
In addition to the apology regarding the marketing materials, the message also discusses Yasuke, yeah. Okay. There's Persona 3.
Yusuke?
Yeah, and that's what it gets me every time.
Yeah. There's also, I think, Persona 5 has Yosuke.
But we're talking about Yasuke. One of Shadow's two protagonists. While Yasuke is depicted as a samurai in Assassin's Creed Shadows, we acknowledge that this is a matter of debate and discussion. We have woven this carefully into our narrative and with our other lead character, the Japanese shinobi Naue, who is equally important in the game. Our dual protagonists provide players with different gameplay styles, end quote. The message notes that Assassin's Creed series has always taken, quote, creative license and incorporated fantasy elements into its historically inspired settings. Quote, the representation of Yasuke in our game is an illustration of this. His unique and mysterious life made him an ideal candidate to tell Assassin's Creed's story with the setting of feudal Japan as a backdrop.
Persona 4, Yosuke. Persona 5, Yusuke.
Okay.
Assassin's Creed, Yasuke. Yu Hakusho.
How could I be confused?
Yusuke Urameshi.
Jesus Christ. What do you think of all this blessing out of Yo-Yo Jr.? An out of left field apology. Usually we see it being demanded, and this was one, what?
Well, actually, this one I did see a little bit in terms of people being upset about it. And this is where it gets very layered and a bit complicated because obviously, like, neither of us are Japanese, right? We're American. I'm a Nigerian American, right? But, like, I don't know what the actual true Japanese response has been to, I guess, Assassin's Creed Shadows as a whole. I've seen, like, specific things here, right? Like the marketing material, the blunder that they have here with it.
This flag business?
Yeah, like, I've seen some of that backlash, which seems warranted, but I've also seen a lot of backlash from Americans who are bigoted and
that's why it's so hard to separate the wheat from the chaff in this one, right? Where it was, as soon as they announced this, there was the change.org petitions from bent out of shape white guys that were upset that they're losing their protagonists. It's like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's so much hubbub about that. Was this actually part of, like, what? How big was this by comparison? And, like, yeah, how do you figure it all out of what you need to do?
And on the American side, a lot of it is just plain racism, right? A lot of it is straight up people just being like, oh, I don't like that there's a black protagonist in an Assassin's Creed game that takes place in Japan. And
sure.
To those people, it's like, there's not much I can say to you, right? You're too far gone for me. And that is where I take some issue with this statement from Ubisoft. I think they should apologize for the flag blunder. If it truly is a blunder, if it truly is like oh man, we fucked up, you should apologize because,
a piece of concept art that features the flag of a Japanese historical reenactment camp. They didn't have permission.
So that is like, but it's like, fucked up there, right?
Yeah. But is that like, and again, you and I are not in the culture and not part of it, so it's but it's like, so you used a flag by mistake, like, seems like sorry.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like here's an apology, but I guess.
And that's kind of where I take issue, because that is part of their apology. Weirdly, they don't address it too directly. They just say, like, we apologize for, but like, there is this context around what they're saying here where they go into Yasuke is, part of what we've always been doing with Assassin's Creed, right? We take a lot of creative liberties with how he depicts things. There was a good tweet from
Simon Cardy.
Yeah, Simon
Cardy tweeted. I have this already pulled up because I agree. Yeah, Simon Cardy tweeted, and this before I knew the headline over here. Simon Cardy from IGN.com tweets, still waiting on apologies for assassin Jack the Ripper, superpowered evil Pope Borgia, the fictional killing of Julius Caesar, misrepresentation of the French famine, and the fact that Leonardo da Vinci never actually built a flying machine. Then he threads his own tweet, grow up.
Yeah, and that's where I get frustrated with this apology, because I think if Ubisoft wanted to apologize for fucking up the flag thing, yeah, like be like, hey, we fucked up, we're gonna replace it, we're gonna do whatever, like say that. Them having to clarify all this context around Yasuke and what they're doing with it, I am like, no, this is what Assassin's Creed has always been. Yeah. I'm of the mind that, like, fuck the racists, fuck the haters, fuck the bigots. Don't address them. Like, don't treat them as like a viable audience here, because they're not, right? Like, those people are far gone, and you don't need to serve the interests of those people. Just double down on what you're doing, because I think for a sensible person, for the sensible portion of your audience, they understand what this is. They get that, like, they get that this story is based off of the Yasuke thing, which is not new. Like, we've had stories based on this before. I've already forgotten the name of, was it called The Black Samurai? There's been Netflix series, there's been like fictional adaptations of that story before. You're Assassin's Creed. You're not an historical work of like nonfiction.
Yeah.
We expect this from Assassin's Creed.
Let me bring in two things real quick. Over there in the chat, I'm sorry, it's going very quickly. Somebody was like, interesting take to tell the Japanese to grow up. That wasn't Simon's point. I think John Walker over at Kotaku has a great synopsis of what he thinks is happening when they read through this, right? He reports on the news in the statement and goes, it's a somewhat ambiguous statement in that it never actually says what it's specifically addressing, nor what it's potentially apologizing for. It's also extremely obvious. It's also extremely obviously responding to arguments made by the anti-DEI hordes while presenting itself as a direct communication with Japanese players alone.
Yeah.
I think if I'm reading Simon's tweet right, Simon's saying grow up to hiding behind that it's about, like, they're trying to package this argument as if it's about the flag, when in reality it sounds like they're trying to talk down the hateful bigots who are never going to play to begin with.
Yeah, and I also think he's saying grow up to, like those hateful bigots that are upset about this, right? You look at the replies to the Ubisoft statement tweet, and it's all the whole, like, anti-DEI thing, which, like, God, like, if there's one thing that the far right can do really well, it is recontextualize a thing that is a very normal thing and turn it into this, oh, you got to be scared. You got to be scared of history. You got to be scared of learning how to, learning what happened in our past. You got to be scared of DEI, which has been a very fucking, like, I get angry about this. Which has been
I wonder why.
Which has been a very, like,
because it's nonsense and it fucking is an argument we don't need to be making right now.
It's been a thing that's been around forever, and it's been a thing that, I think helps a lot of people that look like me, that look like a lot of our audience, that look like a lot of, people that play video games, right? Let's figure out how to get more people visible, get more people involved, and, wrongs or right our wrongs of the past, and, like, bring in more diversity, bring in more inclusion, and do it in a smart way, not do it in, like, a fucking shoehorned way, because that has been the problem. The problem with diversity in the past has been like, oh yeah, we're gonna be more diverse, but have it come from, the mind of the white men that own the company, or the white men that, like, are running the shit, right? DEI comes through, and it is supposed to be hey, let's get people that are actually in the know, people that actually care, people that are actually educated about these things, and get them in and allow them to structure how we're going about bringing in more inclusion, bringing in more diversity, and making a more well-represented, story or staff or whatever it is that you're doing. And so, to take that as the dunk, see that in all the replies of, oh man, this fucking Assassin's Creed is being all DEI and shit. It's like, what are we doing? Like, no, that's not what this is. So it's very frustrating to see, and that's why I get frustrated about this statement. Is this statement feels like it is appealing to those people. I know they're making the argument against them, right? But my point is, you don't even need to talk to them. They're not even worth
They're gone. We think, like, this is a quicksand argument.
Exactly.
The more you fight it, the further you're going to sink. You're never going to get those people back. They don't want to come back.
Yeah, and also it ignores the fact that there are two protagonists in this game. Yeah. One of them being, Naoe, who is Japanese, and that is half the game. It's not like
It could be more than that if you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? From the demo I took at SGF, right? Like, you get your choice. There's clearly going to be things you need to do at one point this way, but you have a choice to play as who you want to play as.
Yeah. And so it's a bizarre thing to see the backlash to Assassin's Creed. the flag thing, I get it. The flag thing, I'm like, oh yeah, if that's a fuck up, then yeah, they should feel
But it
the heat.
seemed like such a minor fuck up. But again, I'm not there. I don't know.
It
I
reminds
don't
me
know.
of like when Spider-Man 2.
This is what I thought too.
Yeah,
when it was
had,
supposed to be
like,
the Puerto Rican flag, but they put the Cuban flag in.
it was something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they mixed up the flags. This strikes me as that of like, oh yeah, y'all should have been more aware about this. But like, it's an easy fix, right? Replace it. I don't know. Based on this, I don't know if they're fixing it. I don't know if it's too far gone to fix it.
It says it'll still be in the art book, right? So I think like that's printed and that's set to go, so you can't get away from that.
So that's unfortunate. But yeah, like apologize about it and move on. And the people that are upset about it will continue to be upset about it, or they'll forget, or they'll move on, right? Like that's how this thing should go. But I just don't like the addressing the fucking bigots.
Sure, of course. In the super chats, of course, where you can be part of any of our different show, I'd love to hear your thoughts if you have more thoughts about this story, even though I think we've covered a lot of them. Live to Die does say, so how has this impacted their stock prices? Kevin, I don't know if you're prepared for my segment. I know it's usually a Barrett bit. I don't know if you have a button for the most popular segment. Do you have the song? Because I need the song, too. I can't just do it without the song.
I don't know why.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite kind of funny games daily segment, Greg's Sound Financial Advice. As you remember, a year ago, maybe, I don't even remember, Ubisoft stock was in the shitter. And I said, buy. You buy it here. Why wouldn't you buy it right now? And I said, you know what? I'll put my money where my mouth is. And I asked Kevin if this is a conflict of interest. He said absolutely not. And I took $100 and I put it in. I bought Ubisoft stock at $5.33. Today, it is down so far 1.41%, and it is $4.19. If I look back at the month here,
Star Wars Outlaws not that far away.
This is the cornerstone of Greg's Sound Financial Advice. You've seen me create this adage, and you've seen it be popularized across the world. Buy low, sell high. And so now that it's even lower, I'd say buy more. Like, you should put more money into this. Now, of course, I can't be held responsible. There's usually a disclaimer up here that says this is, don't come at me. Don't yell at me when this happens. But again, $4.19. Yeah, you got it coming up. You got the Star Wars coming up. What else is going to happen? Somebody will buy this in some way.
Yeah,
so far,
Shadows
the
is gonna
month
be good.
high was $4.87. 6 months high looks like it was $4.92.
Am I allowed to buy Ubisoft? I probably shouldn't, right?
No, I don't think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's
Fair.
the thing. I've done this. I have this joke in this conference. Nice job, Kevin. It's still sponsored by NVIDIA, but not financial advice. I like that a lot. Thank you, Kevin. You can cut it. Yeah, no, we shouldn't. But if we did, I think it's just about disclosing. But then it gets annoying of every time you talk about
Here comes
anything.
the money.
Anytime you talk about it, they're playing me off. You do it, so it's like, yeah. As a reviewer, I always thought we didn't do it, and we never did it.
I'm not.
That's why for this bit, I always make a big deal.
It just sucks
But then
that,
I
like,
forget about it. But then every time we talk about Ubisoft, somebody reminds me, and we do the bit. And
it sucks because I'm trying to get way better about investing. I'm trying to invest more.
Dude,
but
this is my
the
thing,
I
too.
know most is video
yep,
games.
exactly. Let me tell you, the hot dogs were a bad investment.
Yeah?
I should not.
You invested in Portillo's.
Portillo's, yeah. One day it'll pay off. One day, Kevin, we'll turn the corner on that. But yeah, that was not good on my end. Thank God Jen talked me out of putting more money in, you know? Tyler Wallace comes in with a super chat and says, AC by Ubisoft, a French-Canadian company that is DEI, making historical fantasy games, has always been DEI. Who doesn't know this?
That was a big sentence. I don't know what
Assassin's Creed is is by Ubisoft, a
Okay.
French-Canadian company. That is DEI. Making historical fantasy games has always been DEI.
So they're saying they've always been like this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, of course, and I think that's back to Simon's thing, right? Of like, you're really picking and choosing weird battles here. Like, this is the one, and let's really look through it. You're mad that it's a black guy and a woman, right? That's the problem we have. Is that really why we're so upset right now?
Yeah. It's annoying.
I bet. I know. I'm sorry. Let's move on. Story number 2 on the Roper Report. Xbox is reportedly exploring more new Game Pass tiers. This is Tom Ivan at VGC. Why not? You know what I mean? Why not? Microsoft is reportedly exploring the possibility of introducing more new Game Pass tiers. According to Windows Central sources, these include cloud-only and ad-supported tiers, and potentially the return of a family subscription option. Microsoft is reportedly working towards a cloud-only Game Pass tier that would be a relatively cheap and accessible for users that wouldn't need a console. It's claimed that subscribers to this tier would also be able to purchase digital games, which would tie in Microsoft's plan to let players stream titles they own through Xbox Cloud Gaming. Windows Central also claimed to have heard, quote, very tentative rumors, end quote, that the Xbox Game Pass family and friends plan could return in some form. Testing of a family membership, which allowed 5 people to access a single subscription for $24.99, a price reportedly considered to be too generous by publishers, took place across 8 countries between the summers of 2022 and 2023. And while Microsoft previously said it was exploring the possibility of offering access to Game Pass in exchange for viewing advertisements, Windows Central claimed the company isn't currently actively working toward an ad-based subscription tier.
I do like the idea of a family membership.
100%.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I do think that the more we add these tiers, though, the more it does start to get
complicate.
Very It's already a bit complicated, right? I think you start to add more, it gets more complicated. The idea of a cloud-based tier is interesting. I don't think it's needed. Like, how many people are going to let's say they do $5 a month for a cloud-based tier.
Yeah.
How many people are going to buy into that? I know they're trying to make the cloud push. I know they're trying to, what was the new platform? Amazon Fire Stick.
Amazon Fire
It just
Stick,
came
yeah.
to, like, they're trying to make it more of a ubiquitous thing. I don't know if I'm just saying $5. I don't know if it's gonna be $5, but let's say $5 because I feel like that makes sense. I don't know, doing that for just cloud is, I feel like at that point we're just splitting into too many things and making it over complex. I feel like even if you did just the cloud thing is already part of the standard Game Pass now, right? Now that things are broken up, I don't know anymore.
So I am looking off of CNET.com's breakdown of it. They have a little chart, which I like quite a bit, right? Cloud gaming is a no on Game Pass Core, a yes on PC Game Pass, and a yes on Game Pass Ultimate.
Is it no on PC Game Pass?
No, the first one, the Core, the most basic one. This is from July 12th, 2024.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. I feel like bundling in cloud with, those standard Game Pass tiers makes way more sense than to turn it into its own thing. I just don't see many people showing up for the core or for a cloud-only Game Pass tier. That seems like a bad idea to me.
Here's the thing, is like, I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't know how much it would be used, but I also don't know how you get people through the door if you're not offering them a door. If there's not an option to do it, we always sit here and we go, oh, it's too complicated, it's too this, it's too that. It's still mainly us, the core gamers, that are going and doing this, right? And so is this the usual mountain out of a molehill? Oh, they won't understand what grandma won't understand what a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 4 Pro is when she goes to the store to buy something. Is like, was that a real example of what's happening? So this is a muddled argument because I'm not even making it really, but it is the idea of like, you want the people who want to just play the Xbox games on their Game Pass, on their Fire Stick, on their tablet, on their phone, to be able to get in and get this stuff. But would them who are barely know what Xbox gaming is, I would assume, ready to jump into this and then go through the hoop to find the thing? But then again, it's like, we live in an age where if you like, a good example of this was brunch. Kevin had a lovely brunch on Sunday that I came to, right? I brought little Benny, of course. Benny, of course, harassed the cat, Thomas. Loved the dogs. It was very excited to see that they also had Sucky, which is what we call the Roomba, the robot, you know what I mean? But eventually, when we were like, all right, let's sit down and eat or whatever, and he's done eating, he's like, can I play video games? And Kevin's video game unit was upstairs, and we were downstairs or whatever at the kitchen. And I was like, here, Kevin, can I get an Xbox controller? He said, sure. Gave me an Xbox controller. I hooked him up to the cloud. He was playing Forza Horizon at the kitchen table, right? If let's say I was what you would call a normal person who had normal friends, I'm at a brunch with an orthopedic surgeon, a rabbi, garbage man, just normal people who aren't living in maybe they see that and they go, what the hell, how did you do that? Oh, it's Xbox. Oh, how do I do that? Oh, well, it's really easy, you just have to get the Game Pass and do this. Oh, like, there'd be enough information there that I would help set them up on what they would want in this very specific instance, that maybe that's it. But again, we're like, it's so weird. I don't know how you this. I act like it's like me being stupid. Clearly, it's the billion-dollar question for Xbox as well. Is how do you sell to a normal person that this is at your fingertips whenever you want if you have Wi-Fi? Like, how do you break through and show that? Yeah,
I think this is gonna be a very stupid thing I'm gonna say, right? I feel like to make this a thing the way that you're talking about, I would think that the cloud functionality should just be free, right? hey, you own it, you spend money on the game. Here, you have the ability to play via cloud. Oh, you got Xbox Game Pass, which means you're already paying $12 or however much it is. Cool, like cloud comes with it. I don't understand why.
See, now that's an interesting flip that I bet they do one day. Where it is,
I feel like that's the obvious
hey,
answer.
cloud's free, and you can have 3 or 4 games with it, and then you see all the other tiles, and you click on those, and it's like, well, you gotta get Game Pass.
Yeah,
and then or this isn't on Game Pass. You just buy the game and you're ready to go.
Yeah, for me, it is just the $5, or I keep saying $5, like that's confirmed. But like for me, it is just a monthly fee of, oh, you can pay this just to use cloud. Where I'm like, does anybody want to do that though? Like, I know, again, I mentioned at the top of this that Xbox is trying to push cloud, right, and try and make it ubiquitous. I think for me, I'm still of the mind of, I don't think cloud can be ubiquitous in the way that you want to push it to be.
Yeah.
I think cloud is just an additional way to play. I think it is just a, hey, like you already play Xbox. Hey, you're already in it. Hey, here's another. You can play it on your phone. You can do the way that Greg Miller's doing it, right? Where it is, oh, bust it, open the app on your phone, give it to your son, play Forza Horizon. You have a controller, boom, you're doing it. I think the future where people are playing Xbox on their Amazon Fire Stick as like the way to play, I don't think that's going to be common enough to like try and sell that as a specific tier.
I think right now that doesn't make sense, right? I think what does make sense is, again, and I think you're chasing fractions of percentage, single percentage of people, right? But the idea would be, in my head, the garbage man, the rabbi, the orthopedic surgeon.
Of course, my favorite.
They see this, they go, that's cool, show me how to do it. They do it, right? They're talking to me about how much they are playing Forza, how much they are playing Grounded, whatever. They're enjoying this experience, right? But they'd love to get it on their TV. And I'm like, oh, well, the Fire Stick, or if you have the Samsung TV. But then there's but of course, the best way to play would be to get an Xbox. Oh, well, but no, you'd just be investing, you'd still have the games. Oh, okay. Like, there's that level to it. And I think, at least I think, Xbox's expectation is it also then works backwards over time. Where right now the goal is to ramp you up into the ecosystem so you eventually buy a box, right? But I also think that in the future, it's going to be that the people who are just playing on their Series X start using cloud a little bit and enjoy it enough as internet bandwidth gets better, latency gets even better, and I know that this is a pie in the sky, maybe 10, 20 years, whatever it is all looking like. But I think they're trying to future-proof in a way while also building this bridge now. And so it's like, right now, it's very obviously an underused feature of Xbox. I think, when we did the cloud gaming review, I was heartened by how many people afterwards hit me up and like, oh, I did it for Jerica. I did this for the first time because I saw you guys doing it. It actually works really well. I was impressed, you know what I mean? And again, it's not going to replace it. I'm not throwing my boxes away. Yeah. But it is something there. Like, they're still making a bet on this. And if it's an educated guess of where the internet's going to go, but if the bet pays off, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as you talked about it, right? I think the thing that I gleaned is I am more a believer of if you're an Xbox hardcore fan, you are more so in the market to use cloud, right? Of like, I think it's B leading to A, not necessarily A leading to B, right? Yeah. If somebody getting in through cloud, I think if you're already in, then you're going to be somebody who might be in the market to like use cloud in the way that we're talking about. But I don't know. I'm fascinated to see if they go about this, how they frame that and how they market it, and to see like, what do those numbers look like? And will we ever see those numbers? But
yeah, the marketing's the very interesting part of it. Well, actually, for me, the marketing and the things that's interesting is it during a NBA basketball game. We always throw out the NFL game or whatever. You're doing it. Amazon is already using the console-less bundle package that they're selling with the Fire Stick and a controller and all that jazz, which is very smart, and get that out there. Swinging it back, what I think is interesting, and we glossed over pretty quickly, right, is the idea of having the cloud be there, but then also be able to purchase the digital games through it, right? Because before, when they've talked about, we want it to be that when you buy your games, you can play them through the cloud, because right now it's just Game Pass, right? Like, oh, that's interesting. But then to stop and think, of the opposite way of the rabbi, the orthopedic surgeon, or the garbage man, playing at home and clicking on a tile and buying the game and owning digital rights now on their Xbox account that they've created to do this. Again, you start to build a library, you start to build a thing, and I'm very much, I know this is 1% of any group of populace that actually does this. But then you're like, oh, wow, it's like suddenly really a Stadia competitor in a way, right? Where it's like, oh, that was Stadia's whole deal. Like, oh, that's interesting to see Xbox chasing it that way.
And I know cloud computing is very expensive, right? Which is why they'd probably want to charge for this. But for me, it'd be an even more powerful prospect to go, oh, hey, orthopedic surgeon, you have an Amazon Fire Stick, or you have a Samsung TV or whatever. Hey, you can just buy the game and play it. like via cloud. You don't even have to pay. I think the idea of another monthly subscription is a thing that gets me, where I'm like, oh man, I gotta pay however much money a month and then also pay $60 or $70 to play this thing. It starts to stack up in a way where it's like, is this even a deal anymore? Or like,
Totally.
it starts to get into the weeds of all these fees.
And you have to again imagine that's you're getting it through subscription now to make people understand this, to test it, to build it, to make it better, yada yada. And hopefully you get to that thing where it is like, cool, Xbox Cloud Gaming is just an app, is free, it's outside of the subscriptions, don't worry about it. And three free games are on it, right?
Yeah.
And the hope that you get people to try it, do it, and go for it.
And like, to clarify, right, Millsy86 says it's Game Pass Plus. And my argument is against Game Pass. I think Game Pass as it exists is good. My thing is like a cloud exclusive. Hey, you got cloud as a functionality and you can buy games and use it for me. That's where it starts to get like okay, what are we really doing here? Like, let's lean up a little bit. But I'm curious to see how they go about it. And yeah, like I think once we get there, I wonder if we get there. But then also, once we get there, will this be a thing that people are talking about? Will this be a thing that Microsoft goes, yes, we did it. This is what we wanted to get out of it.
We will see what people are saying and talking about when that happens, Bless. Because we're kind of funny. An 11-person independent operation all about live talk shows, usually about video games. At 10 a.m. we're live. At 11 a.m. we're live. At noon we're live. That's stuff in the afternoon. If you love all the hard work we do here, it would mean a lot to us if you use that Kind of Funny membership. Just $10, of course, gets you all of our shows ad-free. The ability to watch the afternoon podcast live as we record them. And my daily dose of Gregway for your listening and viewing pleasure. Of course, if you wanted to go to Patreon instead of YouTube, there's other tiers there. So you could get things like all the friendship bracelets I'm watching Joey assemble at her desk for the Mike and Andy magnets and the best friend business and all that jazz, let alone the happy hours you could be with us each and every month. But I digress. You're not using your membership benefits right now, so here's a word from our sponsor.
PC gaming updates, we got them. This episode is brought to you by our good friends at NVIDIA GeForce. Capcom's new blade dancing action strategy title, Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess, features a Japanese-inspired story with beautiful ray-traced effects and DLSS 3 to make it just sing. Another visually stunning game, Neverness to Everness, has just dropped their announcement trailer. This title is an urban, open-world, supernatural RPG with ray tracing and NVIDIA DLSS. And of course, the closed beta for Marvel Rivals is now ready to play through August 5th for those who signed up. GeForce RTX gamers can enjoy DLSS 3 and Reflex to get the highest responsiveness from this team-based PvP shooter.
New merch alert! We brought back the Portillo hat and t-shirt in new colors, as well as a stylish crew neck. I also wrote a children's book about Portillo, and you loved it so much that we sold out in just 3 hours. Wow, thank you! But fear not, we're doing another limited run. So if you want one, head over to kindoffunny.com/store, click the books page, and hit notify me when available to make sure you know when it goes live. And while you're there, grab a few shirts for your friends. And we're back, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs. Number 3 on the Roper Report, Helldivers 2 Escalation of Freedom update teases Arrowhead's biggest content drop yet. This is Michael Cripe over at IGN.com. Kevin, there's a tweet and a trailer in there. Helldivers 2 isn't out of the fight yet, as Arrowhead Games Studios has announced its latest update, Escalation of Freedom, will be its biggest yet. The studio unveiled the latest addition to its post-launch rollout in a PlayStation blog post. It's an update that's meant to give Super Earth Defenders more variety, including new missions, objectives, enemies, planets, and even a new difficulty mode. While we wait for launch on August 6th, you can see how Arrowhead plans to move into the next phase of Helldivers 2 with the Escalation of Freedom update trailer you're watching right now. Quote, our community continues to show us how strong we all are when united against the mindless automatons and the scourge of the Terminated. Arrowhead social media and community manager Catherine Baskin said in a blog post, as we stand here on the eve of the Escalation of Freedom, we reflect on the 6 months since launch. God, 6 months already.
Right?
We could never have predicted how far this game would go and how many citizens would answer Super Earth's call to arms. Arrowhead's biggest fundamental change to the Helldivers 2 formula is its new, harder game mode, Combat Rating 10, Super Helldive. That's right, if you thought the standard Helldive was too much, Super Helldive is here to offer an entirely new level of challenge. Arrowhead claims the mode is its most challenging, most relentless difficulty mode, and of course, it means better rewards for those who are able to successfully extract at the end of the mission. With Super Helldive comes added variety to missions, as well as larger Terminid and automaton posts that yield new super sample rewards. Arrowhead notes that the new missions and objectives will be playable on other difficulty modes too. What seems to be Escalation of Freedom's flashiest new addition, however, is the return of the Earth Kraken enemy, the Impaler. Originally seen in the first Helldivers, this tentacled creature is described as, quote, big, imposing, and destructive, requiring players to focus their fire until it's been terminated. Along with the Impaler come new bug enemies, the Spore Charger, a sneakier version of your standard Charger, and the Alpha Commander, a larger Brood Commander that calls out other bugs for backup in a pinch. The formidable automatons have called for a reinforcement too, with players now needing to be on the lookout for something called a rocket tank. Arrowhead also teased some of the other bot surprises to keep an eye out, but doesn't give specifics. Helldivers 2 players can look forward to a new updated swamp biome, which features denser layers of fog and more places for enemies to hide. As Arrowhead moves to drop Escalation of Freedom into the world of Helldivers 2, it let players know that it's working to mitigate the consequences of grief kicking. With the update launch next month, players will find that after being kicked, they will spawn into a new session as host with all the squad's loot from the session they just left. The Helldivers doing the kicking will also be notified that their loot is unchanged when the player is removed.
What's the longest article you think I could fit in here?
That was very long.
Without people, with people being like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Because that was very long, and I'll keep an eye on chat to see like if anybody would take notice. But it's Helldivers. People care. People care.
That's the thing. As I was reading it, I was like, maybe I should pull up. But I was like, you know what? Like, people really do care about Helldivers in this minutia.
As you're reading, I was like, well, really in the show, let me see if I can delete some of this while you're reading. And I was like, oh, this seems like vital information for Helldivers fans.
Is this going to pull you in, Bless?
No.
Are you going to join the fight for Super Earth with me and Kevin?
I've given up on it.
Chat, have you given up? Super Chats? I need defenders of democracy now.
I've come to accept that Helldivers 2 just isn't a me type of game, and that's okay, right? Like, I wanted to like it because it's the talk of the town and it's one of the biggest games of the year. But I think after a while, I was like, well, it's just not pulling me. And, like that, not every single game needs to get me. I think the thing that I find fun to see about Helldivers 2 is like how successful it is and how well they're doing with these updates and keeping people involved.
Yeah.
I don't know how the numbers are compared to at launch. I'm sure they're down, but
yeah, of course.
6 months after launch, I'm sure the numbers are still good for a game 6 months after launch. The fascinating thing for me to see is the success of Helldivers and then how people are receiving Concord. Because I played the closed beta of Concord.
Real quick, just right now,
Go for it.
There's about 24,000 people playing Helldivers.
Okay, that's really good.
The 24-hour peak would be about 26.5.
And that's just Steam?
That's just Steam, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like, still, pretty active, I'm sure, compared to, like, Concord beta, which, if I'm believing Twitter, not great.
And all I saw was people raising a stink of how bad the Concord Steam numbers were. Obviously, we know PlayStation. But.
Yeah, and I think it's really fascinating to see in PlayStation's quote live service or just let's say online game strategy how they're shifting into like making more of those, what's hitting and what's not hitting.
Yeah,
because Concord in playing the closed beta, I really like the closed beta. I think the game is really fun. I think the game is very, very solid, but it seems like it's not connecting with people, and I don't.
But it connected with you. I saw you tweeting about it. Yeah.
I think the game is really fun. But I worry a lot about it. I don't think, as of now, I don't think that game is going to be successful. I think that game is going to struggle a lot, and I don't know if we see much from it post launch. Like I think people are going to drop off. But I think it being a solid game gives a really interesting point of like statistic of all right, a Helldivers 2, like a co-op horde shooter, like live thing, people are fucking with. Like for $40, people are digging this. All right, a PvP 5v5 hero shooter, $40. All right, seems like the audience isn't taken to us. What can we learn from this? I think there are going to be some very interesting lessons like taken from this, especially even both from PlayStation, but then also big third parties.
The pitches I've been getting through email for games and demos and stuff, and how many people are citing Helldivers. It's like, oh wow, like that's I mean, it's only been 6 months, but you can see people jumping on like, oh, this is what we're trying to make and what we're trying to. I mean,
I think this might indicate or lead to a shift, as we go into the years forward of there's the story about how Riot was working on like a Smash Brothers type of game, and then they saw what Multiverses did in terms of like not getting those numbers, and they're like, all right, canceling this. I wonder this year how many studios see Helldivers 2 and go, we need to replicate this. We need to figure out what this magic is. We need to make it Helldivers 2. And then also, in the same breath, see Concord and go, ooh, we cannot make a hero shooter. Like, a pretty solid hero shooter is about to come out and is about to tank. Let's not, we got to shift away from this. Like, this is not the market we need to be in. I wonder how many more Helldivers 2 type games we're going to see coming out of this.
I'll be interested to see how many people return for this update for Helldivers 2. Obviously, Helldivers 2, like you said, was such the talk of the town, such a big moment. We loved it here. We played it here. We played it nonstop for like 2 weeks or whatever. Then we come back and, enjoy it for goofy streams. And my birthday stream was just Helldivers. Like, I'm excited to play more of it, but I saw many people in the chat going like I had my fun with it. I'm doing this over here. DJ Mayer says my group is planning on returning. I think it'll be a fun one to jump in and go. But again, like, there's still so much Helldivers that I could be playing. You know what I mean? I forget. I think I'm like level 32 or 40 maybe, and like the level cap's 150 now. And it's just one of those things of like, we had all that fun with it. I played. It's my actually, I was gonna say it's my most played game of the year. That's not even remotely true anymore. It's one of my most played. It's my game of the year.
What is your mostly played game?
I bet
Diablo.
Yeah, Diablo's probably taken over. I just crossed 130 hours on that save.
Just this year?
No, that's last year too.
Okay.
So I'm trying to. I don't know how. I probably put an additional 60 or 70 so far this year. Maybe, I don't know. And then Fallout 76 ate up a lot of time. Starfield's eating up a lot of time. I'm putting. There was a whole game of the year GAMESCAST we did while you were gone. There was a lot of talk about this of like how crazy it is and games as a service bringing you back and keeping you in and the new updates, the new expansions, yada yada yada. I'll be interested to see if this gets it again. They don't say it here. I'm surprised they haven't introduced the new enemy type. That was a big thing we've been waiting for a long time. But Gary Wood is still playing nonstop, so we'll be playing it here. I already put it on the calendar. Snowbike Mike.
The new Terminate enemy is the Spore Charger, right? Is that not
but it's, there's supposed to be that other race, like other
gotcha.
faction for you to go after or whatever.
That,
yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done that. Snowbike Mike, come on out of here. Like I said, I put Helldivers 2 on the day of release. It'll be one of the games you guys stream. I won't be here. We'll try to get you Gary Wood, okay?
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
More importantly, though, I have a super chat. Chewy writes in and says, did Mike tell Blessing he misses you?
Yeah, Bless. It was actually a moment where I was going to tweet out at you and say that I miss you because I was playing Concord with Andy, and I was like, damn, Bless would really have a really good time. But you know what? Bless reached out to me and said, Mike, I miss you, because he was like, yo, we would be running Evo.
Yeah.
And I wrote back, summer 2025, Bless, we'll be there.
I was messaging Mike a lot during Evo. I was like, dude, you would love this. Next year.
Homies.
He's going to kickball tonight.
I keep forgetting that's tonight. Fuck. Thank you.
Number 4 on the report, Capcom says it's considering how to make Mega Man games on a regular basis. This is Jordan Middler at VGC. Capcom has claimed that it's looking into creating new Mega Man games more regularly. Speaking during the question and answer portion of its 45th Ordinary General Shareholders meeting, when asked about plans for the franchise, Capcom responded, quote, Mega Man is one of our highly valued IPs, and we are considering how to create games for it on an ongoing basis, end quote. Capcom recently shared a survey asking which classic Capcom franchise fans would like entries in. Capcom regularly releases these surveys, which ask about dormant series like Dino Crisis. While a number of retro compilations of older Mega Man titles have been released in recent years, entirely new entries in the series are few and far between. According to Capcom's own internal data, the Mega Man series has sold more than 38 million units over its 36-year history.
I would like to see some sort of Mega Man revival in a big way, right?
So when you say that, are you picturing like Mega Man 11 or whatever, where it's like, sprite based and it's that thing again, or are you like reinvigoration?
In my mind, reinvention, but I'm also the wrong person to ask because I didn't grow up as a Mega Man person, and so that's not necessarily my franchise. Yeah. But for Capcom, Capcom is in a golden age right now, right? Like they keep knocking out the park with all their releases or most of the releases, and for them to say Mega Man is one of our highly valued IPs and we are considering how to create games for it on an ongoing basis. For me, I'm like, cool, you could continue to make Mega Man, I forget what number one, 11, 12, whatever it is. Yeah. But I kind of want to see a Mega Man that is one of the biggest games of the year. And I wonder what that looks like. I wonder if that's even possible. I feel like if it's possible,
I don't know if that's possible.
You don't think so?
Yeah.
Mega Man has such a big fan base, and it has such a big importance in video games. I guess that might be a super chat thing. For super chat for fans who are big into Mega Man. Is that possible? What does a big new Mega Man look like? YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames super chatters. What does a Mega Man revival look like to you? Is it just
a 2D Mega Man? Is it going to be something crazy?
Could it be a 3D one? Because that's the thing is Capcom...
CJ Splits on already answers the call and says, I would love a fully 3D classic Mega Man, Ratchet and Clank style.
See, that speaks my language. That's my thing is if you made another let's say we're on 12. You make Mega Man 12 as another 2D game in the lineage of the ones that you've already made. I'd be like, all right, cool. That's going to be great for Mega Man fans. I am surprised they don't try more to like make a new Mega Man that's going to, I guess, bring in a wider audience. Because yeah, if you make let's say a Ratchet and Clank style, hey, you have these cool weapons, you are able to choose what direction you go in. It sounds like I'm saying open world, but not like it doesn't even have to be open world, right? It is. You choose the level, boom, you go through this. Let's say it's almost like a 3D Ratchet and Clank level. You get to the end, you fight the boss. Now you get that boss's weapon, and now you get to go to the other. Like that sounds fucking awesome.
Sounds cool. Yeah,
I'd play the fuck out of the game. But I wonder, yeah, like, does that work for Mega Man fans? Would people be like, this ain't what it is? This isn't my Mega Man.
And see, that's where I feel like there's this weird bridge and divide where it's like, with the renaissance they saw with Mega Man 10 and 11, really making the game people really wanted from it, to then do the 3D Mega Man, I feel like you would lose so much. I feel like there's going to be this group that, no, Mega Man is this, and Mega Man is not that. And I feel like no matter what you would do, to make a 3D Mega Man, you wouldn't live up to the shadow of what people think a Mega Man is.
I do think that there has been enough variety within Mega Man, though, that you could get away with it. Like, there have been, like, there's classic NES Mega Man, but then there's, like, Mega Man X, Mega Man Legends, Mega Man on the GBA, that was more of, like, a turn-based thing. Like, Mega Man, there's been 3D Mega Mans as well, right? Like, I think Mega Man is one that you've already seen enough variety with that I don't know if people would be as upset. But again, I'm curious on what people
I
have
got more
to say.
for you. This one actually sounds pretty hot. 3KKO says a 2D Metroidvania Mega Man from Team Cherry.
I mean, that'd be sick. I saw somebody else mention Dead Cells in chat, like the Dead Cells dev.
Yeah.
I would love to see a new, fresh take on what that art style could be.
The other one we have here is Benny Be Good saying Mega Man, but like God of War 2018 did gritty.
He's like a dad, mega dad.
Gotta go. He flips the bed and gets out the Mega Blaster and puts it on. He's like, I'm sick of being this robot. I'm back. I gotta do this. I like how you say Team Cherry too for the 2D Metroidvania Mega Man from Team Cherry. Sounds awesome. The game would be 15 years in development before ever coming out.
Yeah.
Where's Hollow Knight?
That's a hot take, but I don't feel like everything needs to be a Metroidvania.
Sure.
That's
not a hot take. That's a real take.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I'd want like more traditional. If you're gonna make it 2D, I'd be down for it to be more traditional Mega Man.
The Portland Kevin says a Mega Man game in the style of Vanquish.
I don't even know what that means. Just a fast-paced
fast action.
platinum,
Yeah, you're
sliding all over the place. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm into it, but I'm also I'm not. It's weird because I'm not the target audience, but I'm also the target audience. I'm putting myself in the target audience of somebody who would be open to playing a new Mega Man game if it looked like it was going to reinvent something, right? Okay. That's the audience I'm in. And these ideas sound cool. I would play these games.
Are you in the audience that likes digital games over physical games?
Sadly, yes.
Number 5 on the Roper Report. Despite 90% of its sales now being digital, Capcom claims it won't stop producing physical games. This is still Jordan Middler at VGC. Capcom has claimed that it has no plans to cease producing physical games. During the Q&A summary of its 45th Ordinary General Shareholder Meeting, Capcom was asked about its outlook on the production of physical games, especially as the company sees a larger portion of sales being directed towards digital titles. Quote, given that a significant number of end users demand physical games, we do not expect to eliminate physical products, it says. While Capcom releases all of its major titles as both physical and digital releases, the company has released some smaller titles as digital only. This month, and its Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess, was released as a digital only title, for example. During the 2023 fiscal year, Capcom announced that 90.1% of its sales were for digital titles, which it forecasts to reach over 93% during its current financial year.
For me, the bigger news here is the 90.1% being digital. That's a wild number.
Yeah, I expect you to keep making physical goods. Like, I know people who want physical games and they like the collection, and like, again, like making them, I mean, you just keep shrinking how many you think you're going to make, right? Like, don't worry about it. Yeah, the fact that it's that high, though.
It's like, I wonder if that's the number across all publishers.
No, we've gotten those numbers before from PlayStation and stuff like that. I don't feel like they've ever been.
But like, when did we get? Because I remember it must have been like 2018, 2019. I feel like the numbers were more like around 50%, like 60% maybe. 4 years later, I mean, pandemic might have had a big
post-COVID.
shift.
Yeah, for sure.
I wonder if we're talking about maybe if it's 90 for Capcom, maybe it's like 70% for like an EA or something like that.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see till they tell us, but they probably won't because that's just huge news. Why would they tell us that information, Bless? Who would tell us, I wonder, about the smaller news? Where would I go for the tiniest news I need to know about?
You go to our last news story, the Wii News channel, where we cover all the small news items you need to know about.
Number 6, Wii News. From IGN, several former EA developers, including former Visceral Games GM Scott Probst, have formed a new studio to make a spiritual successor to NBA Street, the beloved 3v3 street basketball series released back in the early 2000s. Kev, can you play the trailer? Titled The Run Got Next, the new project developed by Play-by-Play Studios is a, quote, character-driven, full-court 3v3 hoops game that celebrates the attitude, style, and skills of street ball culture.
This should be my, what do they call it? What was the thing? This is my Greek, no. Do you know the Roman Empire? That's what it is. This should be my Roman Empire.
Yeah?
Right? Like,
did it do it for you?
No.
Oh,
I don't
no.
like this trailer. Like, I don't.
Oh,
there's
no.
something about how it looks that, and granted, they don't show much like actual just straight gameplay.
Yeah, it's in development or whatever,
just
yeah.
like, you know, these characters doing their thing. I don't dig the art style that much.
Okay.
I think for me, it brings me back to NBA Playgrounds type stuff of like, we've seen studios try to bring back these types of games in the past, right? I know
Yeah.
NBA Playgrounds was maybe more of a mix between Street and NBA Jam.
Yeah.
But there's something about the highly stylized sports games that don't hit often for me, and this looks like another one of those, but I don't want to count it all the way out until we see like actual gameplay. But yeah, the art style, I don't know, the art style isn't hidden for me.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll be interested to watch it. Obviously, people have been, mainly Mike, have been clamoring for an NBA Street forever, so well, at least somebody's answering the call.
Even this dunk right here, right?
Now
Like,
fucking make a road rash.
this looks like she had like a superpower when she dunked, right? Like there was like the blast and like the fucking like light spurting out from the ground. That doesn't speak to NBA Street to me. Like NBA Street feels it's gonna sound insane. It feels a bit more grounded. I know people are jumping all the way up in the air and shit,
yeah,
right?
I was gonna say, I remember it being not grounded at all.
Yeah, but it didn't feel. I guess when you do Game Breakers, maybe it's a bit more over the top. But like, I don't know. It doesn't line up with NBA Street in my mind.
We'll wait and see if they can sell Bless, everybody. From VGC, images and pricing details for 4 LEGO Fortnite sets have appeared online. The images and details, which are circulating on social media, were first shared by Fateful_Lego, have likely leaked in advance of an official announcement. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is officially coming to Xbox Game Pass tomorrow. Wuthering Waves is coming to PlayStation 5, and Skull and Bones is coming to Steam on August 22nd. Clean up our super chats before we get out of here. JD super chatted when they resubscribed with the Kind of Funny membership on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and said, blessing in Andy's excitement for Evo makes me want to attempt to get into the fighting game genre. Tekken, Street Fighter, and Mortal Kombat all look awesome. Blessing, how do I pick?
I think Tekken and Street. So Mortal Kombat, the most mainstream, probably the highest selling out of like the fighting games, right? It is shocking how little support it gets from like the core fighting game community. You know, like they'll
Too mainstream.
Too mainstream. But it does feel, I think it's too mainstream, but then also they cater too much to the mainstream.
Gotcha.
I was shocked by how fast I fell off of Mortal Kombat 1, and even at Evo, they show all the games based on like signups or whatever. And Mortal Kombat, it's like toward the end, right? Like Guilty Gear has more signups than Mortal Kombat. Like so many fighting games have more signups, and I think if you're somebody that likes a spectacle or Mortal Kombat appeals to you in terms of like the world and all that shit, then like go to Mortal Kombat. But I would zero in on either Tekken or Street Fighter if I were you. And I think the decision comes down to which one looks more fun. Are you into the 2D style of a Street Fighter, or are you into like the 3D style of a Tekken? I think there's no wrong choice there. Both those games are fantastic. So I would say just choose whatever one looks more appealing.
Okay. CJ, like I teased at the beginning, says, Bless, how was Astro?
Yeah.
You played Astrobot?
I played Astrobot at
Evo?
Yeah. So like, of course, Evo's owned by PlayStation, and like there's a convention floor, and so there's all these booths, including a PlayStation booth. A lot of people were confused because I think day one, the Astrobot booth said Astrobot or Astro's Playroom, but it was actually the new Astrobot. So a lot of people were not playing the Astrobot demo. And then somebody was like, dude, Astrobot's here. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. And so I went and I played it. And I was like, oh, shit, this game's fucking awesome. Yeah, no, Astrobot is, I think that's going to be good, going to be a special one. I think the best way to put it, I was hanging out a lot with Mitchell Saltzman from IGN. And he was like, oh, dude, it feels like PlayStation's Mario Galaxy. And when I was playing it, I was like, dude, I feel exactly what you're talking about.
That's
like
high praise.
The level design and all like the details of it feel super locked in. And I did only a couple of levels. Both the levels, it just felt so dialed into moment wonder of like, you know, no matter where I went, no matter what I did, I was like, oh man, this is cool. Oh, this is neat. Oh, this is a cool detail here. Like it feels so well designed. So yeah, it got me even more excited for Astrobot, which I didn't know could happen.
Hell yeah, can't wait. And then the final super chat comes from the Portland Kevin, who says Kamala Harris for president. Of course, there's a long discussion about that very topic on today's Kind of Funny podcast, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and podcast services around the globe.
When is the DNC?
August. Right around the corner.
Is it like a locked in, like, is she going to happen for sure? 100%?
Yeah. Well, I mean, 100%.
99%.
Something crazy shit could happen, but like she's got enough delegates and people saying, and all the people who would be the ones who would actually, I think, offer a fighting chance against her have come out to say, no, we're with her. So you're all set. We asked people watching live on all the platforms to go to youtube.com. No, goddamn it. Kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. Tell us what we screw up as we screw it up. ALWT Gaming says, bless the anime you're referring to was literally called Yasuke or Yosuke or what? Yasuke.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go. On Netflix.
And then Anonymous says, not you're wrong, but possible breaking news. Humble Games lays off all of its staff. They then send us to Emily 3D's Twitter, who is a 2D generalist artist. Oh, here it's Emily Kiefer shares a screenshot on Twitter of their LinkedIn and says, well, friends, me and the entirety of Humble Games was laid off this morning. If you need senior lead / QA for your game studio, hi, hello, I don't have a job anymore.
That's damn.
Now her LinkedIn post says, well, another year, another layoff. Today is mine and my entire team's last day at Humble Games. This team was genuinely the best team I ever worked on. We truly had something special. I'm just going to read the whole thing. I wish I could save everyone, make my own studio. And I say that, I'm going to start paraphrasing. So this, the longer LinkedIn post, and I don't know this is breaking news. We'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah. Based on the tweet, I would think she is talking about because she says me and the entirety of Humble Games.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't just say her team there.
Yeah.
And so it's developing. We'll probably talk more about it tomorrow. But yeah, it's grim.
Yep. Sucks as always. We hope everybody lands on their feet. For now, though, we'll bid you adieu. Of course, the day isn't ending here at Kind of Funny. We are an 11-person operation all about live talk shows, which means even though Kind of Funny Games Daily is ending, we're going to spin up the Kind of Funny Gamescast in just 1 second and refute your hot takes. That's right. We have dozens of voicemails from you with your 60-second hot takes about video games. We will then decide if they are trash or you agreed with me on everything and they're right. So that's great. Of course, after that, we'll be streaming some video games. And, of course, there's always content on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and podcast services around the globe. Don't forget the highlights channel, youtube.com/kindoffunny for bite-sized versions of all our best moments. For now, though, we'll tell you, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific with a brand new episode. Like, subscribe, share, and until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.